Think about the last time you told someone a story from your childhood. You probably believed every word of it. You probably described it with total confidence. But here is the strange part. The version you just told was not the original memory. It was a copy of a copy of a copy, and somewhere along the way, your brain quietly changed the details without asking your permission. You don't notice this happening. That's the unsettling part. Every time you remember something, you are not pulling up an old recording and playing it back. You are rebuilding it from scratch. And every time you rebuild it, you leave a few fingerprints behind. This sounds like a minor glitch. It isn't. It might be one of the strangest features of the human brain, and it shapes who you think you are far more than you'd like to admit. For most of human history, people assumed memory worked like a filing cabinet. You experience something, your brain stores it in a folder, and later you open that folder and read the file back exactly as it was written. Comforting idea. Completely wrong. In the 1970s, a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus ran a series of experiments that quietly broke this idea apart. She showed people a film of a car crash, then asked them questions about it. Some participants were asked, how fast was the car going when it hit the other car? Others were asked, how fast was the car going when it smashed into the other car? Same footage. Different word. The participants who had smashed estimated significantly higher speeds. And weeks later, when asked if they saw broken glass at the scene, the smashed group was far more likely to say yes. There was no broken glass in the film. They didn't lie. They didn't guess randomly. Their memory had genuinely changed to match a single word. Why would your brain do something this reckless with information that matters? The answer starts deep in your skull, in a small curved structure called the hippocampus. Think of it as the brain's construction site. It doesn't store memories like packed boxes in an attic. It stores fragments. A smell. A flash of color. A fragment of sound. When you recall something, your hippocampus grabs these scattered fragments and welds them back together into something that feels like a single, smooth memory. But welding isn't filing. Welding involves heat. And heat changes the shape of things. Every time you retrieve a memory, you put it back into an unstable, moldable state. Neuroscientists call this process reconsolidation. For a short window after you recall something, the memory is vulnerable. New information, your current mood, even a stray comment from a friend, can slip into that opening and fuse itself into the memory before it locks back down. This means the simple act of remembering something is also the moment you risk changing it. Karim Nader, a neuroscientist working in the early 2000s, tested this directly. He trained rats to fear a particular sound by pairing it with a mild shock. Weeks later, he played the sound again, briefly reactivating the fear memory, then injected a drug that blocks the proteins needed to relock memories in place. The rats lost their fear. Not because the memory disappeared. Because reactivating it had made it editable, and the edit stuck before it could be saved again. You don't have a neuroscientist injecting your brain with chemicals. But every conversation, every retelling, every remember when, is doing something structurally similar. You are opening the file. And while it's open, the word is allowed to write on the page. This is why two siblings can argue for 20 minutes about whose birthday party it actually was. Neither one is lying. Both are reporting an honest memory. Both memories have simply been edited by years of separate retellings, separate moods, separate conversations that quietly fused new details into the original fragments. Here's where it gets stranger. This isn't a flaw your brain forgot to fix. It might be the entire point. A memory system that played back perfect, unchangeable recordings would be useless for actual survival. Your ancestors didn't need an exact replica of the day a lion appeared near the river. They needed a flexible warning system that could update itself as new threats appeared, blend similar dangers together, and generalize quickly. A rigid memory is accurate but brittle. A flexible memory is occasionally wrong but endlessly adaptable. Researchers studying memory through this evolutionary lens, including work associated with cognitive scientist Daniel Shatter, argue that what looks like a bug, distortion, and forgetting, is actually a feature optimized for usefulness over accuracy. Shatter described several of memory's predictable failure points, calling them the sins of memory, and argued that most of them exist because they serve some other valuable function, like efficient storage or rapid generalization. Your brain isn't trying to give you a museum exhibit of your past. It's trying to give you a usable guide for your future. And guides don't need to be perfectly accurate. They just need to keep working. This explains something deeply uncomfortable. The memories you trust the most, the ones tied to your strongest emotions, are often the least reliable. People who live through dramatic public events, assassinations, disasters, terrorist attacks, almost universally report vivid, confident memories of exactly where they were and what they were doing when they heard the news. Psychologists call these flashbulb memories. They feel burned into your mind with perfect clarity. Researchers who tracked these memories over years found something jarring. The confidence stayed high. The accuracy did not. People described entirely different rooms, different companions, different sequences of events than what they had reported within days of the original event, while remaining completely certain they were right both times. Confidence and accuracy, it turns out, are not the same thing. Your brain doesn't flag edited memories with a warning label. It hands you the updated version with the exact same emotional certainty as the original, because as far as your brain is concerned, there is no difference between the two. There was never a separate, untouched original sitting in storage to compare it to. So what does this mean for the story you tell about your own life? It means the version of you sitting here right now is, in a very real sense, a living edit. Every time you've replayed an old hurt, an old triumph, an old humiliation, you've slightly reshaped it. The angry conversation you had with a parent 10 years ago has probably been smoothed, sharpened, or recolored by every single time you've thought about it since. This isn't a reason to distrust everything you remember. It's a reason to hold your memories a little more loosely than you currently do. Think about that argument you're still certain you won. Think about that childhood memory you'd swear under oath happened exactly the way you describe it. Somewhere in there, fragments have been worded, words have been swapped, details have quietly drifted to fit the story you needed to tell. You are not lying to yourself when this happens. You are doing exactly what a human brain is built to do. Rebuilding, not replaying. Updating, not archiving. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I remember it like it was yesterday," pause for a second. What you're really holding isn't yesterday. It's today's freshly rebuilt version of yesterday, reassembled from fragments, lightly reshaped by everything that's happened since, and handed to you with total, unearned confidence. You never noticed your memory rewriting itself. Now you will.